in the world of golf equipment where there is a new fad that seems to come out every week. But what trends are actually here to stay and what trends really make any difference? Well, let's discuss that in this video because I have 10 golf equipment trends that we are going to break down to see if they're just fads or are they real game changers. Mini drivers. They came, they went, and now they're back again. Definitely more of an uptake at certain tour events, tour players putting them in the bag at certain courses where it fits. And I feel that's a little bit what this club is about. There will be outlier golfers out there who swear by them because they struggle with their driver. Slightly smaller length, they like the smaller head dials in their strike a bit more is what they will say. To be fair, most golfers need as big a head as they can get and they could come down the grip a little bit if they really wanted a mini driver in their bag. It's still very nichey. Are they a good club? I would say they are, and for the people who swear by them, keep swearing by them. And if you're a tour pro who can just bung one in when it's needed and take it out, then absolutely that's a great idea. But most everyday golfers can't do that. Are they here to stay? I reckon they probably are. I think you'll see manufacturers like everyone have a go at it. Some will succeed, some won't. So there'll be less manufacturers who probably make them going forwards. I think people get a little overexcited about mini drivers, but if you like them, then enjoy them. Arm lock putters, the putter that goes up your arm and locks in like we see Bryson using. For me personally, I think more golfers would putt better with one of these putters. I've tested them. I think they can be really good solutions to a task. It's as basic as that. We're into the tradition of golf and often that maybe holds us back a little bit. People don't want to look different on the golf course. People certainly don't want to look different, so have a different putter and then not be the best putter in the world, because that's a very easy target for anyone who wants to take the mick out of you and your mates are ribbing you a little bit. But to be honest with you, I like the idea of unlock putters. It definitely clicks in my head when I use them, how much more connected it feels. I do think more golfers would benefit from trying them. Certainly, if I ever had any wobbles in my putting, to any of those nasty little unmentionable wobbles, arm lock putters would be the first place I would run to and test if it was a part of my game that I felt needed improving with a bit of a shock in equipment. I hope they're here to stay and I hope more of you test them. If you want to push back on any of these ideas and opinions, do in those comments down below. Let me know. And also, what trends am I missing out on the golf equipment world? And what will be new that we haven't seen yet? Let's have those comments firing off. Remember to hit a like button down there. Don't be afraid to subscribe for more fun, free golf content. One length irons, so nichey, isn't it? So few people you see, everyday golfers, really go for one length irons. It's such a good concept where all irons are the same length, they're the same lie, it's just a loft that changes, so you in effect kind of have one setup and feel for every swing. Kind of does make sense. So there's been some interesting tests that show it can help golfers. Whenever I've tested one length irons over the past, definitely you have some issues in launch and spin, often in the longer clubs, but I think as they develop that can get better. I don't think golfers will take to this. Personally, having an overlong 9-iron and wedge is a little scary for some golfers. I do think it's a good concept. I do think more people should test it. I don't see it really catching on. It's only a few manufacturers who ever really pushed it, and one of them obviously was around Bryson's pushing of it, and he isn't even with that company anymore. So one length irons, I think they'll just keep coming back and going out and coming back. It'll be one of those kind of wavy trends in golf, you know, where something is new even though it was new 10 years ago, it's new again. That's the golf equipment industry. High-toed wedges with the grooves all the way up into the toe and have more weight up in the toe. This is something that we've kind of seen drift in, drift out and come back. I use one in my set. Many manufacturers have made them. Ping made kind of the original one years ago. So again, this isn't nothing new, but it's one of those trends that just kind of comes back and goes out. I don't understand, apart from looks, so do they look a little bit more ugly? Yes. Do they look a bit funny with the grooves all across the face? Yes. But that's only relative to what we perceive is the norm or what we've got used to looking at. Do you hit balls across all parts of the face on a lofted wedge? Yeah, like right up in the toe as well when the grass is long. Do you hit shots in places on your wedges where there aren't grooves at the moment? Yeah, you can do, and that's not even a miss hit. If you open a face, that ball's going to move across that face diagonally. So having grooves all across, up into the toe, and a higher toe for support when you're pitching out along grass or chipping out along grass only makes sense. I feel like it is the looks only that make people not go for these wedges or even test them, where actually the performance, if it was just focused on that, they absolutely would put them in a little bit more. What do you think of high-toed wedges? Hybrid and utility sets, so sets of irons that look like little hybrids. This is something that just has never caught on, and there is fewer and fewer being made, and I think it is such a powerful place for irons to be. So many golfers could benefit from having the most friendly clubs in their bag possible. People just don't like the looks of them, they don't like the sounds and feels. Maybe people get comments that they don't like if they use these kind of irons because they are not traditional, whatever that means. I fear this is a trend that we're actually coming out of, and a trend that never really got going, and one that I would be super keen for more golfers and more manufacturers to push. As with anything in the golf industry, things go in circles. I think they'll come back at some point as golfers realise performance should be far outweighing what looks do in a golf club. But hybrid and utility sets, they're definitely less and less manufacturers, and they're tending to go down right down into the cheaper bracket of clubs. And as soon as you put a set of clubs in a cheaper bracket, believe it or not, even though golfers say they want things cheaper, if you make things cheaper, they often don't sell that well in golf, because also golfers tend to be a little bit more wealthy and they want their quality stuff, or what is perceived quality. Utility irons, let's keep them. Let's hang on to them. So many of you could benefit from them. HL on iron sets, so a higher launching version of the iron sets. I think I get why these are here, and I think more golfers should think about using them, but it's so interesting, isn't it? It's the golf industry have created a semi-issue, so strengthening lofts, and then they've created their own gap, which they then plug with their own solution. Isn't that perfect for the ultimate sell to golfers? So high launch irons, where they're the truer lofts of the same technology in the stronger loft version. I get why they're there, and I think lots of golfers should think about it. When my daughter started, I got her truer lofted irons because I just wanted her to get that ball pushing up in the air as quick as possible, and it really gave her confidence with launch, gave her confidence with angle of attack, because she knew the ball was going to shoot up easier with truer lofted irons. I use stronger lofted irons myself for my game, but I have no problem keeping the ball up in the air particularly. I get why they're there. I think it's funny that they're there, because they're only there because the manufacturers created a hole which they then plugged, which is hilarious. But what are your thoughts on the higher launch irons? The biggest problem I find with these kind of clubs is most or many fitters don't tend to have this iron for you to test. They talk about them. Everyone talks about them. I'll talk about them in reviews, but they never send them really to review because it is just the same iron, just with more loft. So I just feel maybe golfers won't get access to them enough to test, which would be a shame, because I think for some golfers, they absolutely can really help, because they're just kind of where irons were before the lofts went really strong. Zero torque putters. This has definitely exploded. More and more manufacturers are bringing this idea into their range. I mean, to be fair, we've had zero torque putters before. I had one made for me years ago at a golf show from Adele Putters, and I've always liked that concept. Even when I picked that putter up, they made one for me and it felt lovely. I get it. I think this is something that is actually got the chance of helping some players improve. Again, it will be player specific. This will be a category of putter, I think, that will now just stay in golf forever. There'll be different versions of it, different ways the shaft enters, different kind of looks, which people might want more or less in a zero torque putter. But as we are all so personal, some people might want certain rotations with a face and some people might not. And obviously having less torque in a putter on strikes is a good thing for most golfers. I think this is a great, I wouldn't say innovation because it's been around before, but it is a great blast and blowout in the industry that's made the putter world maybe look at a different route of trying to offer some solutions to golfers. If you haven't tested one already, definitely, if you're looking for improvements in your putter and you want to putt better, I would go and test one. Driving irons, utility irons, the iron that's not a hybrid, but it's chunky like a hybrid, but it has a flat face. Definitely more and more golfers are realizing that these irons can be hit, certainly if you have certain speeds. Often we find golfers who have certain speeds don't like low lofted hybrids because of the curved face. The ball can kind of curve too far off line. This is something I have found where I now have a 2-iron in my bag. These aren't new, these have been around for years and certainly were made years ago called driving irons, but they're definitely advanced in their looks to try and blend more with certain clubs. Their turf interaction, so they're better from the ground and the tee, and their overall performance seems to have more love to them, so they're helping with miss hits and they're putting the weight in better places rather than just making a chunky iron. I think these are here to stay. They never really went away. I think if you haven't got certain speeds, stick with your hybrids. They generally are friendlier than the utility irons, but you go on tour ranges, you see these kind of irons going down now and replacing even 5-irons. So traditional 5-irons, slowly even some of them are going. Definitely 4 and 3 irons, we don't see them anymore. Utility irons are definitely here to stay. If you've got certain speeds, go and try one. If you want to push back on any of these ideas and opinions, do in those comments down below. Let me know. And also, what trends am I missing out on the golf equipment world? And what will be new that we haven't seen yet? Let's have those comments firing off. Remember to hit a like button down there. Don't be afraid to subscribe for more fun, free golf content. Are we in the carbon era? The carbon everything, carbon face drivers. Obviously, we got TaylorMade who pushed that narrative. We've seen some crazy stuff coming from their tour players around their current drivers, and the ideas possibly around carbon. I think this is something that will pass. I don't think this will stay forever. It certainly hasn't moved the needle when you look at any tour stats. Golfers haven't become more accurate and they certainly aren't getting any longer. That is all leveled out. I think if you like that dull feel, you love a brand, say TaylorMade, who make that kind of carbon claim, then go for it. I don't certainly see them particularly as worse. I definitely don't see him as any better. I do see it as a way of creating a narrative around a market that's hyper competitive in the driver world, where you have something different and new to say. I see it more as that. And to be fair, most companies are looking for that narrative. Nothing really is changing massively. Are we in a carbon era? Has driver technology changed forever? Well, we were in it years ago, and we've kind of come back to it pretending it's new, and there's definitely been some hiccups. We've seen quite a few TaylorMade players staying in older product, suggesting that maybe getting that consistency of performance with different materials is always one of those big challenges that all manufacturers of any product struggle with. I see this one as a bit of a passing fad. What do you think? More forgiving irons in more golfers' bags. Traditionally, we've seen blades for better players and game improvement irons for higher handicappers, where this still does come through as a generalized case. We're definitely seeing more game improvement irons across wider ranges of players. So it's the better players, the lower handicappers, who are having the realization that maybe getting a bit more help isn't such a problem for your ego if your score is lower, and vice versa. If you are a lesser or higher index golfer but you have certain speeds and you strike the ball kind of okay, but you maybe not that good at controlling face, you might think you want that slightly more players irons. The way iron sets have moved, definitely with less companies producing kind of regular iterations of their blades, they're kind of leaving them now and focusing more in that kind of game improvement and player improvement iron. I think we're seeing more and more golfers have better choices of clubs. And as fitting gets more important, making sure you've got the right irons for you. And the right iron might mean the right 5-iron, the right 7-iron, the right 6-iron, the right wedge. They can all be different irons. They don't have to be from the same set. So making use of all irons, game improvement through the blades, and making sure every iron in your bag is right for you is definitely, in my opinion, the future of where custom fit needs to go, rather than people just buying sets of irons. More awareness of what all the irons can do is absolutely and should be here to stay.